Ahora sí, ahora sí. Estamos aquí escuchando el show de Marilyn. Ahora sí, ahora sí. Sintonízate, no te muevas.
We have a voice in the community. Let's gather in unity and empower our people with real life stories. The future is in our youth. Let's not forget our roots and pass the knowledge to pa' ti, pa' ella, pa' él y tú.
Ahora sí, ahora sí.
Color's not a problem, we hermanos.
Ahora sí, ahora sí.
Brother and sister, dame la mano.
Sintonízate, no te muevas.
Mi gente, yo soy Marilyn. Bienvenidos al show Ahora sí. Hola amigos de Ahora sí. Today we have the great opportunity and the honor to interview Mayor Donna Red, former mayor of Camden, New Jersey, Dana Red. Thank you for allowing us to be here today at this wonderful facility, Rowan University.
Yeah, thank you, Marilyn, for being here in the great city of Camden, and we are delighted to have you in our downtown business quarter, where the Eds and Meds have shaped a new identity for the city of Camden.
This is so great. Mayor, you led the city of Camden for 2 terms, from 2010 to 2018. That's a lot of years.
Yes, it was 8 years of service as the mayor of Camden, and let me begin by saying it was the greatest honor of my life, very fulfilling to be able to contribute back to the community that really gave so much to me, raising me as a young girl who had lost her parents in 1976. And if I can share a little bit about that story, I'm a lifelong resident of the city. And as I mentioned, my parents died tragically. And my grandparents, my grandmother, Hazel Peoples, helped to raise my brother and myself. But in addition to having loving grandparents, and on both sides of the family, paternal and maternal grandparents, we had the love and support of a wonderful community. I think we refer to them as the village that it takes to raise a child. And growing up in the city of Camden, my father was a employee of Campbell Soup. My mother worked for Cooper University Hospital.
Wow.
And my dad, back then in the 70s, when Mayor Angelo Arricchetti was in office, began to hear about all of the plans that were slated for the city. And so he encouraged our family never to leave Camden because one day Camden was going to come back. But never in my wildest thoughts or dreams did I ever think that I would be the mayor of this city during this time when transformation would be underway.
And that was one of the questions that I have for you. You also served in the Senate of New Jersey from 2008 to 2010. Prior to that, you was a vice president from City Council.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're
Doing
correct.
some homework. Mayor, I always admire your leadership and leadership skills and your courage.
Oh, thank you.
Now, let me ask you some questions.
Okay.
Did you know that you would become the mayor one day?
So a great question. So, you know, growing up in Camden and once being a teenager, high school student, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do in life. And as I mentioned, my grandmother raised me. I attended parochial school and at the time was attending Bishop Eustace Prep in Pennsauken. And so when it came time to consider colleges, I'm like, is it psychologist? But I really wanted to be a fashion designer.
Oh, really?
No joke. I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Is that why you have good sense of fashion?
I would like to think so. It could be better. But, I used to design my prom gowns back then.
Great.
And so, would find a seamstress and she would put my design together. But the funny thing is my grandmother said, Dana, you're going to starve as a fashion designer. You need to find a real job. And so in her mind, the real job was finding a position in government because that's what she knew. My grandmother had encouraged me to think about court stenography. I didn't quite want to do that. And so when I came out of high school, I actually went to school to become a paralegal. That was a newly emerging profession.
Okay.
And I went to Pierce Junior College for about 1 year and did well in the courses, but I thought to myself, if I'm going to do all of this, I might as well become an attorney. So I didn't want to do all the legwork and not get paid for it.
Okay.
But long story short, I ended up transferring to Rutgers Camden campus. I majored in business studies, and I figured that was a degree that could be applied to a number of professions, and thankfully I made the right decision. But I started working in government back in 1988, I believe it was. I started working for the Parking Authority in Camden, and then ultimately in county government in 1994.
Now, what inspired you to run for office? What or who inspired you to run for office?
So it's funny, I get this question often, and particularly being a woman in public office, because we don't naturally see ourselves as individuals jumping into the political foray. So what I would say to you is I was recruited to run for public office. I was 32 at the time, but working behind the scenes prior to, as a grassroots organizer, helping with the Get Out the Vote efforts. My first presidential campaign in Camden was in '92 with then Governor Bill Clinton and Al Gore. Their first stop was in the city of Camden. A lot of people don't know that, but when they started their presidential campaign, they started it right here in Camden along 2nd Street and along our port. And so I think being involved in that change, that wave of change, and just that whole don't stop thinking about tomorrow movement really sparked my interest in politics.
Okay.
So to sort of fast forward, I was recruited to run for city council by Theodore Henson, Teddy Henson, who was the municipal chairman of our Democratic Party here in the city of Camden. And a great man indeed, a person that brought people together of all ethnic persuasions, all religious backgrounds, but he brought them together around the cause of Camden. And so our Democratic family had wonderful and still has wonderful people serving. And so I would say I was recruited by Teddy Henson, and I ran for city council in 2001.
How was that experience?
It was wonderful.
Were
you
nervous?
Of course. So what a lot of folks don't know about me is I'm really an introvert. So I had to grow into this public speaking piece.
Okay.
So it wasn't something that I loved doing, standing in front of a podium and a mic. But my passion, once I connected with that passion, which was Camden, it would come across. And I always wanted to celebrate Camden and lift Camden up. So that others would believe in our great city of Camden as much as my father believed, as much as Theodore Henson believed, as much as Israel Nieves believed, just to name some of the trailblazers. And so, that's when my journey began.
What was your biggest challenge in public office?
My biggest challenge in public office, I think, from a personal standpoint, was overcoming my shyness. I already came to the table with a strong work ethic, and thankfully I was surrounded by really good people that wanted to make sure that they protected me, if you will, in a sense, but also helped me to achieve my goals and visions for the city. So I would say overcoming my shyness. Now, doing my homework and preparing for meetings and things of that nature, that's just in me. I'm probably a little anal retentive, but it served me well.
For the thousands of viewers of Philly Cam and Ahora Sí show,
Yes.
what was your greatest achievement while in public office?
Wow, that's an interesting and difficult question at the same time, because we did so much. And so, let me celebrate. I had a wonderful team. So, my administration, we certainly had a great team of individuals that helped us to get the work done. So whether it was improving our financial standing, launching a new Camden County-led police department, which is celebrated nationally and particularly by then President Barack Obama, who visited the city in 2015. Whether it is the new businesses that we attracted to Camden, $2.5 billion in public and private investment, where entities like the 76ers and Holtec International and Subaru and Liberty Property Trust have decided to call Camden home, but not just calling Camden home, but creating jobs and opportunities for residents and local businesses. So to your question, the greatest accomplishment that I think residents celebrate is public safety and our new policing paradigm.
Okay. You're a woman of faith.
Yes, yes.
There was an article of you that you at a young age was chosen to give Mother Teresa of Calcutta
Yes.
to give flowers to her.
Mm-hmm.
You were selected out of hundreds of students, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Could you share with us that experience?
Sure.
How was it?
So again, back in '76, I was a student at Sacred Heart here in Camden. Father Doyle was there as our parish leader. Sister Patricia Margaret was our principal, and so many wonderful educators there at that school. And so '76 was probably a life-changing moment for me. As I mentioned, I lost my parents that summer, so in July of '76. But in August of '76, Sister Teresa visited, Mother Teresa visited Camden, and I was selected by Father Doyle, having known the circumstances and the tragic loss of a young person. He thought that I would be ideal to welcome her, to present the lei of flowers, and so it was a hot summer day. The church was packed, filled to capacity, and I remember being a little nervous as an 8-year-old, but knowing my grandmother had worked with me, telling me how important this moment was. And so my grandmother and my grandfather both accompanied me to the church. We sat on the front pew to the left of the church, and I remember seeing this very petite, humble woman, walk across the altar, and all I could think of is make sure I do this right and get the lei of flowers, around her neck comfortably in a way that was gentle. And so I was able to complete my task.
Okay.
And but she embraced me, she hugged me, she kissed me, and at that point blessed me. And who knows what she prayed at that time, because she was serving the poor and needy, around this world and around this globe. And so I would like to think that her blessing and her prayer was for me to be impactful as I grew into an adult, and to have, impact in poor communities across this country.
And now she has been declared a saint.
Yes,
so
yes.
Knowing that,
Yeah.
I'm imagining it's a great feeling for you.
It is. I've been blessed to meet wonderful people along my life's journey. Whether it was Mother Teresa or Congressman John Lewis, who was, a key leader in the civil rights and social justice movement. But whomever I have met along the way, I've always taken Camden in my heart. So it's never been about Dana, but, in my mind, it's been about lifting up Camden along the way.
Now, before you became the mayor, Camden was considered one of the poorest in America, city in America.
Yes.
And also crime infested.
Yes, yes.
What was going through your mind?
So
when
Camden,
you decided to become the mayor.
So it's so, I've always loved Camden. I've always had an affinity for being here. And I remember, growing up, my peer group, we were informed by our parents and grandparents that success looked like when we got our high school diploma and or college degree to leave Camden. And for some reason, I just felt guilty about leaving Camden, in my early 20s. And so I had an opportunity to move out, but I stayed. Again, not knowing that one day I would serve in public office. Camden has been known as the most dangerous city in America. It has also been declared back in 2012 the most impoverished city in America. And so to your question, I would say I'm somewhat competitive, in my approach. And when I declared my candidacy back in 2009, part of my campaign speech, I talked about having Camden known as a shining urban anchor in the state of New Jersey. And so our work was guided in that direction, not knowing that, with a lot of hard work, a lot of team members, a lot of council members that, also subscribe to the vision. So it's important to recognize the legislative branch because they also helped me to accomplish all that we were able to do. Not only did we become celebrated in the state of New Jersey by Governor Christie, but Camden was also lifted up as a national model for hope and promise by President Barack Obama. And that was just mind-blowing, back in 2015. So we still have work to do, but we have come a long way, and a lot of partners have helped in the progression.
And as I was coming here to the campus, I see there's a lot of developments. Camden is looking much better.
Yes.
Thanks to you.
So Camden is turning into a college town, which is great. We have wonderful, public schools, Renaissance schools, charter schools like Leap Academy. Even here today, being at Rowan University and along Cooper Street, you can see the energy of students and parents and educators, in our downtown business quarter. And so I'm really excited about the new position that I'm working in, still helping Camden, but working in higher education and working to create programs and curriculum in the field of health sciences and allied health professions.
Right.
And so, that journey continues for Camden. I, celebrate and support the new leadership of Mayor Moran, and I know that he will take Camden to the next level. And the members of council, they know the vision, they see the vision, they know the work that needs to get done, and I know they're dedicated public servants.
And talking about President Obama, you mentioned him. I know you met with him not only once, but a couple times.
Couple times, yes.
How was that described to the viewers? How was that relationship with President Barack Obama?
President Barack Obama is very, up close and personal, really down to earth, right? He's just really a phenomenal individual. And so the first time he visited Camden was in 2006. He was then U.S. Senator Obama from Chicago. And we had him visit New Jersey, and one of his stops was here in the city of Camden for the Menendez campaign. And so I was able to moderate a program where he was our keynote speaker at Kane Avenue Baptist Church. And so again, very personable over time because of my work in the Democratic National Committee. At the national level, we were able to interact with the president. We've been invited to the White House a number of times, again, celebrating the work of Camden in violence reduction, our new policing strategies, among other initiatives that were underway in the city. And then when he came to Camden, on good news, right? Because we were always, somewhat in the press for negative news. But when it was a good news national story, and he came in May of 2015, again, now Mayor Moran and I had an opportunity to meet him before he came out to keynote, and just a really great person.
Down
oh my
to
goodness,
earth,
down to earth, yeah. I remember him saying, "Miss Mayor, how are you today?" I'm like, "I'm good, Mr. President," So yeah, so great person, and just wishing him well with his foundation work, both him and First Lady Michelle Obama.
Now, while in office, does the mayor ever takes a break?
So
that includes no phones, no emails, or there's always something.
Oh yeah, there's
it's
always
like
something.
A mom away from the kids.
Yeah.
We can't. When we go on vacation, we always call to make sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
So, is it like that for a mayor?
So it depends on the person, I think. For me, and I would say my role model for mayorship was then Mayor Cory Booker. So just watching him, Cory was always plugged in. Cory was on community patrol with the police. Cory was everywhere. And so, while I'm not a Cory Booker, I think I branded my own identity in that space. And so I had two phones. One was government and one was private. And, we had the email accounts and keeping up with constituents, the community meetings. And so pretty much we were on 24/7. Wow. And, but it was something that I enjoyed doing, so I never felt that this was work. Each and every morning I got up, I enjoyed coming to work for Camden. Yes. And so, I miss the residents a little bit, now that I'm trending in a different space and I'm learning how to slow down. it's exciting, and when you're purpose driven and when you know the vision and what you're trying to leverage and attract to your city, you don't really pay attention to the time. You do what's necessary.
Okay. What is your message for the young women who are thinking about becoming a great leader like you?
Oh, thank you. So, to our young women, I think that, one, the world is full of possibilities. Never shortchange yourself by limiting your vision. I would encourage them, and I do this every now and again, to do a vision board. How do you see yourself the next year? How do you see yourself 5 years out? And then as you do your vision board, to really take those action steps to position yourself for wherever it is you see yourself, whether you see yourself as an educator, a lawyer, in the medical profession, as a physician, or even a nurse, or whatever it is, a business leader. You can do it, with hard work, and with surrounding yourself with the right people, the right mentors. So mentoring was very, very key for my success. I had great women mentors in my life that helped me to develop in this space. So I would also encourage them to get a good mentor. And then the last thought that comes to mind, the power of networking, and networking with other like-minded individuals, or being involved with women network associations is so powerful, and they'll gain not only access to individuals that can open doors for them, but certainly they'll glean a lot of life experiences and wisdom.
Thank you so much, Mayor. This will be my last question.
Okay.
Every great leader wants to leave a legacy, or should leave a legacy. What is your legacy? What would you like to leave
So
as a legacy?
I think as a legacy, what I would like to leave is really in the space that I'm working right now. I believe that education is a great liberator, an equalizer, and it was for me. So even being a poor child growing up in Camden, limited resources, fixed income, raised by grandparents, suffered gun violence in my life. But what opened the doors of opportunity for me was education. So if I, in my legacy, can inspire other young people to not only stay in school and strive to do their best academically, but also consider, going on to a 2-year or 4-year academic institution to get their degree and beyond, and also becoming a part of the workforce and the environment that is constantly in a change mode. I think I would like my legacy to be about education and how it lifted a whole city out of poverty, because that is the pathway forward.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing Ahora Sí to
Thank
be
you.
here in this special interview with Mayor Dana Red.